Going on, Legionary here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP grind, episode 68. So we're actually just going to be collecting and gathering a lot more of our cooking resources, as this is something that is just time consuming. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. And obviously I feel like this is a really good area. There's another good area as well in the Fractured Plains. But I think this is actually still the best. There's lots of dwell berries out here that you can grab, and those are actually pretty good XP, but then you can also kill all the creatures that are going to be out here as well. So potentially, if you actually are not as far along as I am in this process, then it would make a lot of sense for you to be doing a sheeps and ram, because they give a lot of resources for working on artisan. So I think it would actually benefit people a lot who really aren't as far along. And we're actually going to go back and sleep really quick. And the reason is, as we've stated so many times before, this is not a good place to be if it's nighttime. Actually, when we first teleported in, before we actually started the video, like recording, there was one of the Garu masters. I'm not sure what his name is, but he's got the shield. And obviously those are incredibly powerful, so you don't really want to have a run-in with them if you don't have to. And that's why I think overall it's just better to be here in the daytime. It's a lot less dangerous. So we're also going to be working on attack a little bit. Obviously, I do actually want to switch to magic. So when we do our XP update at the end of the video, it will have a little bit of attack XP then, and then a little bit of magic as well. Magic is something that we've sort of neglected. I'm not sure why that is, but I have noticed it a little bit. But we're almost at 100,000 attack XP. I'm sorry, 100,000 magic XP, rather. And it's just going to be a progression. And hopefully we're at least at 100,000 before range comes to the game, which is actually not that far away at all. So every day it draws a little bit closer, and we're really excited to see what it's going to bring to the game. As I've stated before, I don't think it's going to bring anything too crazy. I wish it would. I wish it would bring some new monsters to kill, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. And part of the reason for that is I sort of dissected this over the time of making these daily videos. And I think a big part of the reason that they can't really add any new monsters when they add range to the game is obviously there's a progression with resources that are going to be dropped. And it's important that they don't release too many more monsters before Valhalla comes to the game, because each different thing will have its place in a skill tree of what you can make and things like that. So it's really important that they don't just sort of add wasted content, I guess, because if you keep adding things and it doesn't necessarily have a purpose, then you've sort of got the same resources that are already inside the game. So I don't necessarily know that it would do any good to add new things to the game currently as far as creatures, because obviously the resources that it most likely would drop wouldn't benefit us at all. It would just sort of be filler, something that we can sort of keep us busy. And I don't necessarily know that that's a good thing, to just create things to keep us busy rather than hold off a little longer, which is quite a bit longer actually, because Valhalla won't be here till December. So that's actually going to be October, November, December. So what's that, about 2 months after range comes to the game. So obviously it's going to be quite a bit of a wait, but I think it's important that they don't just add creatures to the game for no reason at all, other than the fact that we'll feel a little bit better about killing something new. And since I played the game so much, obviously it would actually be great to have something new, but I think certain things you have to understand that you just have to wait. It makes the most sense. So we're not that really upset about it. So it just is what it is, and that's just how it is. So it looks like we accidentally took all of our arrows out when we worked on rune crafting a little while ago, a couple episodes ago, can't remember which one. But so we're going to have to shoot them down with our staff. And now we've got all these sheep, and they're trying to run. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him in time, so one of them got away. But obviously cooking is just, I've talked about it quite a bit already, and it's just treacherous. It takes forever. Literally, I don't know what the thought process was behind that. You could say that potentially they didn't want people to just max it out right away, but That doesn't really make sense because everything else is pretty much you can grind it until you get a ridiculous amount of XP. So I don't know why they would have chose to make cooking the one thing that was just incredibly horrible, unless they don't really plan to have max 99 a crazy amount. But even then, I still think it takes quite a bit to level it. So even if it's not a crazy amount of XP, it's still very time consuming. And then I've also sort of jumped into the theory that, oh, well, once there's new creatures that come to the game, you'll get better resources that you can level it faster with. But I've also stated that I believe that those creatures are going to be a lot more difficult to kill. It's not going to be simply aim and shoot. There's probably, I guess maybe the animals might be like that, but as far as the creatures that we fight, I believe that there's going to be a lot more specific mechanics to fighting things like Garu in the future. So we'll have to wait and see. It's all speculation. We don't want to go fight that Garu shaman. I hate those guys. They poison you. They're terrible. Unless you fight them and you block with your shield. But we're trying to get a little bit of magic XP, so I don't really want to stray away from that just to get that XP. So, but this area is loaded with sheep and ram, and obviously we don't really need any of the resources for this for artisan because we're already sort of in a really good place with artisan being at 4 million XP. But obviously we could still potentially use these resources to maybe make more armor and keep adding to our mannequins. I could have swore I thought I saw an arrow fly across the sky. It must have been the rain that sort of seems to be blowing in the wind. So we obviously have a full inventory, so we're going to try to add some things to that so we can actually hold more now. But if you were to just sit out here for an entire day and keep killing all the sheep and ram, I'm pretty sure that you would have a ridiculous amount of resources to work on cooking as well as your artisan. So if you're trying to find quick ways, I'm not sure that it would be insanely quick, but I do think that it would give you the necessary resources to get to a comfortable amount of XP. Or potentially, if you got a lot of logs, if you were working on wood cutting, you could also turn those into charcoal, and that also gives a lot of artisan XP. Obviously, all this stuff took an incredible amount of time, and we've just invested heavily into this game, and it's been quite the journey, that's for sure. So excited about new things coming to the game, and how that's going to change the entire environment and the way that we do things every single day. So just, I don't know. It's still 2 months away. It's actually more than 2 months. It's quite far away, actually, before Valhalla comes to the game. But it's okay because we're going to be working hard at it constantly and making sure that we are where we want to be when Valhalla does come to the game. I know we've talked a little bit about farming and what that's going to sort of look like. But ultimately, I plan to build a pretty incredible base that's just going to be for farming. So I think that's going to be really exciting to sort of get to mess around with that a little bit and create a really cool farming base. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to look, and they're probably going to add different things with building that could potentially allow a lot of cosmetic looks with your farming and things like that. So that's also going to be really exciting to sort of mess around with that a little bit and see how I would like to make sort of, I guess I can't really explain it, but I want to make some sort of fantastic look to it. It's not going to just be a farm. I really hope that I can do a lot of different things to make it something that's pretty epic. And I want to do it on a mass scale. So hopefully the bird nests actually contain tree seeds, and hopefully the Garu packs and the Goblin packs also contain seeds, because this will allow for me to really just go crazy with it. And that's what I plan to do. I think that there's going to be just, I can't really speculate right now because I don't really know what resources are going to be required to make these farming plots yet. But I can tell you right now that obviously the beginner level is going to require some of the more basic materials, which we've been collecting just non-stop. So I don't think there's going to be any real hesitation on how far we can get as in regards to that. I think the sky is going to be the limit. Basically, how much ever time we're willing to invest to keep expanding on our farming, then we can allow that to happen. So it's just going to basically be, once we see what it is and what it looks like, then we can sort of really put a plan together, which is actually going to be really cool because I haven't really been doing a lot of building, especially with my construction XP sitting at 2 million. I feel really comfortable where that's at. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome to be able to get back into building, but have a more sense of purpose at this current time once farming comes to the game, that I can really start to build on that, which didn't mean for it to sort of tie in together with what I was saying, but it sort of just did. But ultimately, so much cool things coming to the game, and they're constantly giving us updates on it. And so it's just going to be really cool once it comes to the game, and we're able to really dive into that. I plan to try to make possibly the most biggest, craziest nonsense fulfilled sort of base. I want it to make absolutely no sense. I want it to be just extravagant. But we're gonna have to wait and see what that really looks like. But hopefully, like I stated, the bird's nest and the Garu packs and goblin packs actually do give you seeds, because I've saved hundreds of those, and that's sort of my plan behind that. So if that is in fact true, I will be able to have the most epic farms. But I think what that's gonna mean is that when I run out of seeds, I'm either gonna have to do more wood cutting, or I'm going to have to do more of whatever is required to get more seeds. So if I'm in fact wrong and it doesn't come from birds' nests, I think that's actually going to add quite a bit of a grind to the game all in itself. People are going to have to go get seeds. However, they might have decided to introduce that into the game. Even though I've already stated that I think goblin packs, Guru packs, birds' nests make the most sense, especially because you figure that as a beginner player, and you're just starting out in the game, how would you get something like that? And I definitely think that birds' nests really resonate with that. It makes the most sense, but obviously we just have to wait and see what they're going to do with it. And now that I've sort of touched base on that, obviously we're just looking for more sheep and ram, and we found a little bit more. So that's pretty much the theme here, is you just sort of use all these different teleport stones that you place, and you're hunting all the sheep and ram that sort of spawn in. This guy's going to get away, but he's not, because we got him. So we're getting quite a bit of magic XP as well. But ultimately, I can't wait for range to come to the game, because it's going to give me another way to fight these guys from a distance, which is going to be quite nice. And especially with the bow, it's just easier to aim at the rune essence, it seems like. So that's going to be quite nice too. I don't know why I don't like to shoot my magic spells at the essence versus using a bow. I'm not sure why that for me is just not as good, but it's crazy. All I did was turn around, and now I've got all these sheep and ram that have just sort of spawned into the game. So that's actually quite nice. I'm not sure if we want to build a bunch more mannequin stuff. I feel like I've talked about it quite a bit, and I think it would be really cool. I'm starting to think maybe I should save my resources for Fell Hollow, because we're not quite sure what that's going to look like, and potentially if you're going to need some of those lower level items to sort of help you build some of those next tier items. So I might actually need a lot of that. So by getting rid of it all could actually really end up hurting me, and that would actually be like not what we want to really do. So I think I need to start thinking saving items more so than just using things just because they're lying around, and it's just sort of on my mind that I've got them and I should use them. I actually need a little bit of water here, because apparently I've used all of my water, or they got somehow out of my inventory. So my character really needs to get hydrated here. I guess I could grab a little bit in here. The only thing with that is obviously these hurt you a little bit because they're sort of toxic. So let's see if it let me pick up some water. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of water and take some drinks. I think I can do 4 without it really poisoning me. That should actually do it. And then unfortunately now I'm having to use a little bit of my cooking resources, because I guess I forgot to put food in my inventory. And they don't really give that much. Those, was it red berries? So these all already respawned just in this video. So yeah, if you were to spend an entire day just collecting this, just non-stop, you would have an insane amount. So I think it really just depends on how much time you want to put into the game every day. So if you're trying to go absolutely wild, which is what I did when the game first came out, I mean, you could really put a dent into a lot of this XP and really grind at such a crazy rate. But obviously, we don't quite do that as much because of, we are at a place now where we're relatively comfortable. So we like to put a little bit of time in every day. And then obviously, we're going to build off that and keep progressing and keep getting results. It's interesting that there's only one wolf right here. Usually they're in packs of 3. So I'm not sure how that happened or why he's all by himself. We've got another sheep up here, which is unfortunate because now I'm going to have to go up here to get his resources from him. There's another one here too, so we'll kill him. But I actually feel like this is probably one of the better times I've ever been doing the hunting. I feel like we've been able to find a lot of creatures versus normally it might be a little bit more spread out. So I think they're spawning in quite great. It's almost nighttime too, so the area is going to start to get potentially a little bit more dangerous here. But we're just getting really lucky with our teleports right now. We're getting lots of sheep and ram to kill, so that's really good. Hopefully, we can keep working and building on all this XP that we're getting and just keep progressing. We're probably going to kill these last 2, and then we're going to call it, and that will be today's episode. But I feel like we actually got quite a bit accomplished. We got lots of resources. And then we're going to do an XP update when we get back to our base and once we put all this stuff inside of our chests. So let's go ahead and go back. I mean, we could sit out here and kill these things for hours, to be honest. But I try not to put too crazy amounts of time every day. And the only reason is because once Fell Hollow comes to the game, we're basically going to live at our computer, I believe. So we're not going to really be getting much done in the way of, like, I just want to sort of gap things out because I don't want to just sort of prepping for how much time is going to be spent on the game in the future, knowing that. And so I'm trying to keep that in mind a little bit. So let's go ahead and drop these in here. And then we're going to just eat one of each really quick. And then we're going to do an XP update. And then we're going to send you guys on your way. So we've got 301,000 attack XP. We've got 1 million woodcutting XP. Construction 2,009,000. Rune crafting 579,000. Magic 87,888. Mining 4,082,000. Artisan 4,094,000. And cooking 232,000. So obviously some things we didn't work on today, and then other things we did. It's a slow progression. It's just the way it is. But we're going to keep working hard at it and keep showing basically our progress in the game. But before I let you go, I suppose we could grab everything out of here because there's quite a bit of different things we've grabbed as well. So let's go ahead and drop all this stuff in here. I think that's pretty much all the meat except this cabbage, but we just grabbed that. And then we're actually obviously going to have a ridiculous amount of fleece, ram horns, and all those sort of things at the very end of all this. But anyway, guys, we really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll be back tomorrow with more. So thanks for watching, and Legion Luda out.